Inpowered Health, a podcast shedding light on how healing is an inside job. Keys to your inner power and total transformation. Discussing wholeness, wellness, and the effects of the mind on the physical and energetic parts of our being. A podcast to support you, moving from fear and pain into wellness and purpose. Belief, hope, connection, energetic keystones for transformation and inner power. Sacred knowledge that inspires us to look within, to find our own unique path. Empowered Health, release and rewire to become what you truly are, strong, whole, and empowered.
Once upon a journey, a soul birthed out of oneness in its most beautiful light-filled vibrancy. At this moment, the soul is filled with love and appreciation, having experienced only a state of pure consciousness, perfectly balanced within a realm of light, nothingness, and everythingness.
Hi, everyone. This is Jane and Shell, your naturopathic doctors, here to inspire you and support you on your journey.
Hi, everyone. Today we have with us Marco Missinato. But before we start, I just wanted to say we dedicate this podcast to Zara, an angel who departed from this planet on Monday evening in an act of unconditional love, saving her horse after just a tragic accident. And we love you, Zara. And this is just the perfect dedication for you. Marco.
Hello.
Hi, Marco. Marco is a composer, artist, and creative communicator of Unfolding Secrets, a symphony of the heart, and Sounds of Oneness. Marco uses the power of his heart to inspire creativity, music, words, and philosophy to deliver supportive messages to people, to inspire others to dare into the voice of their own heart and overcome the fears of limited beliefs and consequences. And most importantly, to produce creative experiences that support and facilitate the release of blocked emotions within ourselves and trigger the process of remembering who we truly are. Marco recently produced a new composition, Journey of the Soul.
Marco, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you with us on our podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for the invitation.
You've recently written a 9-chapter book, The Journey of the Soul, accompanied by your beautiful music. Can you share with us what inspired you to do this?
Well, the inspiration comes always from the same place, which is source. Everything starts from source. And so, like in many other previous creative projects, also with Journey of the Soul, everything started with a pool of an imaginative pool. Once again, source asked me to step into the mystery of life and embrace a creative venture. And so, again, I started to follow my intuition, to follow my feeling, my emotions, and my creativity. And I started to take action. because that's how the creative process works. You download the informations, and then of course you act upon it. As soon as I start to take action, the journey took me to several countries in the planet in order to crystallize what I was envisioning. And the visualization was an ongoing process. So you start with a feeling and an emotion, and then you crystallize that, and then something new comes, and little by little the puzzle start to take shape, and you start to see what is even want to come through you. So that's how more or less I create, and so that's what I did. It was a 3 years journey. It took me 3 years of work, and it was, as usual, very transforming and very wonderful.
Beautiful. And what a message to bring something into fruition, first from the heart, but then to take action. It's one of the most important things, isn't it?
Well, yes, that's where some of us, or many of us, fail, because we all have what I just described is not something special. We are all by default creators. But many of us fail in the crystallization of so the source wants to communicate through us, but then the ego start to create a narrative to discourage us from doing what source is asking to do. And so we just either procrastinate, or we don't believe it's possible, or we just wait for the right moment that never comes, or maybe, okay, when I will retire, I will do that. We have this way to postpone our dreams, also because fundamentally it can be intimidating to fully embrace our power. Can be very scary for us, also because we have to let go at the comfort zone, at the security, at following the typical curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and put yourself on the line, because you then
exactly, yes,
you can be judged, or
yeah, for some reason I never had that resistance in me. For me, it was quite natural. Since I was a little boy, I always did that. So I guess it for me was maybe a little bit less scary than others, but it still take a lot of courage and a lot of effort to follow our imagination, because it always asks you to push the envelope and go in unknown territory. So that, because the first reason of why we create is for our self-remembering,
Yeah. So let's go back to the very first chapter, where you talk about being in this pool of oneness and knowing who you are, before we even enter incarnation.
Yeah. Well, in order to do that, I have to basically the story of the book begins when the soul, in his ethereal, spaceless, formless, timeless realm, looks through the horizon for his new adventure, and he scans through infinite amount of galaxies and infinite oceans of possibilities. And while he's looking for, he feel an attraction toward this little blue-green planet, which is pulsing and is calling him. And so he started to pay attention to what is this operating system about, and what is the curriculum about. And as he go deeper into the understanding, he get more and more fascinated by this potentiality, until he come to a point where his fascination become a yes, a deep, profound yes. And instantly, at that moment, he says yes. He projects himself at the edge of the enter, and he let himself fall into the vacuum, which will lead him to the fetus, to enter the fetus of the mother that he has chosen. And as he does so, of course, he starts to forget who he is, because by contract, the curriculum demands a certain level of separation, fragmentation, and forgetfulness, and many other challenges like polarity, separation, and more. And so as he fall into the tunnel, he start to forget who he is, and he start to condense into a physicality that he never experienced before. And at the moment where he entered the fetus of the mother, is now has a physicality, and he start to deal with the idea of time and space and all that. And as he does that, at this point, he doesn't remember who he is at all. And he feels his first emotion. His first emotion is a sense of abandonment. He doesn't remember what he's feeling abandoned from or to, but he feels this cosmic abandonment that it's a cosmic abandonment that he characterizes his first experience, this physical experience, and this abandonment trigger in him a sequence of new emotions that will unfold during the chapter after chapter and during the story of the book.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would make all of us brave souls come down to earth, Marco? Because it is a difficult place, especially with this spiritual amnesia that we all come into on our journey.
Yes, it's where the curriculum of Earth is probably one of the most challenging ones. What makes a soul choose an adventure is basically the desire to evolve, evolution, and the desire to go back home with a higher level of consciousness, of sense of self, through different experiences. And mastering the curriculum of Earth, it's really not for everybody. So I believe that all the souls that are present right now, that have been walking on Earth, are very strong and powerful souls. And because, like you said, particularly in the last 10,000 years, the level of fragmentation and separation is quite intense, to the point that maybe it wasn't even meant to be so intense.
Mm-hmm.
Because the design, the blueprint of the physical experience has been altered at a certain point, to level that were not designed by the original prime creator of this planet, of this experience.
And I remember listening to chapter 1 and your description, when you were connected to all and oneness. I immediately remembered, and it just opened my heart, and you just, the feeling of it was incredible. So,
it's true. We get these small little tidbits of remembering where we're from.
Yes.
That come to all of us as we begin our spiritual journey. It's like we have this deep knowledge of it, but it feels more like faith than facts. It's a knowing feeling.
Yes, and this is also very much supported by what is happening right now in the solar system and in the Mother Earth itself. The frequencies, the Schumann frequencies are rising up very massively. And we're getting a lot of waves of awakening waves from the solar system, from the sun. So the process of remembering now is getting more intensified and getting faster now.
Yeah, so beautiful. And even your music is in, like, it brings you closer to Schumann resonance.
Yes. Well, yes, because the way it has been conceived is not didn't involve the mind at all. And so it came in its pure state. And also through the different sequence of productions, I made sure that the intent was pure. There was not a second agenda of any means. There was not an ego involved and an attachment to result or a need for something, So the only motive was the pure joy to create as an act of service. And when we position ourselves as creator with that fashion, then our product is intensely transformative.
Mm-hmm. It has like a quality of purity because
Yes.
you're not doing it for monetization or recognition.
Right. Yes.
You're doing it because you're inspired to do it by source.
Yes, and that's where many artists often fail. They manage to have a quick moment of downloading from source in a pure form, but as soon as crystallized in a form, then the ego start to take over, and then there is a need for whatever kind of recognition, validation, desire for power, for fame, whatever is that, because very few artists and very few of us in general are getting to a level of consciousness where they are uncorruptible. We still have a fascination for the world of form, for the matrix, and that fascination doesn't allow us to stay in a pure state of vibrational offer.
Right. And even in the book, this is like a further chapter, that you describe your time in Hollywood and how you had to choose to stay uncorruptible, like you described.
Yes.
Can you just tell us about that?
Well, yeah, for me, it wasn't even a choice. I mean, even if my ego wanted, I couldn't. But even all my cellular structure was saying no. It was impossible. I remember walking through or entering this big corporative music industry, entertainment business, I don't know, Paramount Record, Warner Brothers, these gigantic entertainers, industries, with the possibility to sign the $1 million contract or sign whatever. And I did literally felt pain in my stomach. I mean, it was unbearable for me. My soul was telling me, this is not the experience we are here for. Because as soon as you sign the contract, they are going to change what you're creating, and there is nothing wrong with that, because the soul never judge right or wrong. It's just was not in resonance for the reasons why I came on the planet, from the first place.
Talk more about tuning into this feeling of resonance. So beautiful.
Well, that's our natural state of being. We all have access to that state of resonance. We lost it because we gave consent to a certain degree of manipulation of the original matrix. And once we accepted that, then among many other alterations of the program, we also got inserted in the left brain this little program called ego, who is designed to do everything possible to distract us from the here and now, from our connection with the soul. And we accepted this challenge with great excitement, and it was an amazing challenge. It gave us a lot of wonderful inputs and insights and lessons. So it's with great appreciation that now we should let go, because we decided at the collective level, not long ago, that we are going to unplug this matrix, inverted matrix, because it served whatever experience it was needed to give us. And now we want to go back to the original blueprint of what it means to be humans, which we completely forgot. We don't even know at this moment what it really means to be humans. But once we get back there, what I'm describing to you is going to be the norm. It's going to be just no big deal. We all are like that. We are all unique. We are all creators, and we all joyfully create, and we all share. And everybody enjoy each other sharing.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle to unplugging from this matrix of, money and power and survival and competition? What is the biggest obstacle for people to get back to their true purpose of their soul journey?
Well, fundamentally is the emotion of fear, and a huge amount of programming that we have endured in the 10,000 years. So now we have to deprogram ourselves, you know, and so that's the biggest obstacle for sure. Yeah.
And well, just being aware that it's a program is the first step, in that we have been programmed into a matrix.
Yeah. Yes, we have been in programming the matrix. I'm sorry, I have to answer this, otherwise they keep ringing. Yes, we have been programmed into the matrix. Through the matrix, they've been a sequence of programming, like the idea of scarcity, the idea of survival, the idea of separation, fragmentation, aging. All these ideas have been embedded in our system, in our operating system, and then the ego capture these programs and amplify them with an infinite sequence of story, because the ego fundamentally is a storyteller. It's just a program that keeps telling a story about how bad was the past, how bad it could be the future. Be careful, and it's based on judging and fear and competition and narcissism and all these interesting emotions, wonderful emotions, because they have given us quite an amazing journey. And now, because that journey, as we go back to our original print, we are going to be master of separation, master of all this, and which means that we have a lot to offer to all the life that is out there waiting for us.
Do you believe what's going on the planet right now is an opportunity to move into a higher vibration?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just an opportunity. Is unstoppable. I don't believe that anything can stop what is occurring right now. It can be delayed or can be slowed down by only by our fear, by our consent to keep keep validating all those role playing that some soul have chosen to interpret in order to give us a polarity experience.
Beautiful. Let's go back to your remembering. And I think as children, we all do still resonate with this feeling of oneness and joy. But
Yeah.
you describe, as a young boy, how you would be experiencing a game of soccer that started out with comradeship and then turned to the matrix. Just tell us about that experience and how it was.
Again, it was my creativity that was always taking me to pushing the envelope and breaking through the limiting situations. So when I was a boy and I was interacting with a group of people, because when we were children in here in Italy, after school, the streets were our reality. We would go in the street to play, and the street would be full of kids with bicycle and soccer games and all kind of. It was very vibrant, and so we would use our creativity to play and to create. Most of the other kids would be settled down with the typical, okay, we play soccer, we do this, we do that, and I would always stretch a little bit. I would create something different all the time. Because that what gave me the biggest joy. It was fun to create something that didn't exist before.
Yeah, and I just remember you talking about how it was a joyful experience, and then the reality of competition and the matrix stepped in and
Well,
kind
yeah,
of.
because in the case of the soccer game, for me, soccer was just running through the field with a sensation of freedom with the ball and just play and have fun. I didn't care who win, who lose. This didn't matter to me. But the other kids often they would get very serious about the game to the point that they even fight or they and that was. I would see that with a little bit of sadness or a little bit of almost curiosity because I didn't have it in me, so I could not understand where was that coming from. And then, of course, as I walked deeper through the path, I started to gain a more understanding of how human at this time operate and how the whole matrix is orchestrated in order to create more and more separation.
Yeah, and you described that in school as well. And I think we all have memories being forced into a certain role
Yes.
model or a certain, way of being.
Yes,
There's
school was another amazing experience. I never really, I wasn't really a good student, not because I wasn't capable. It's just I didn't find those material, how do you say, those books and those teaching particularly interesting. I could not really find a resonance with all those. Stories and formulas and all that. I could not really relate to them. So for me, it was quite boring. So I didn't really thrive in school. I always would make it just enough to go to the next level. But it was in a way very painful because also it was a fear-based system, where you get grades, where you get the competition again was there, where there is an interrogation, where they could come from, an adult, a teacher adult that was, articulating himself, interpreting a role that it was very severe and very, serious. Everything was so serious, So I could never really copy with that.
Is if how would you design a new matrix so that people could actually thrive, feel connected, and live their spiritual purpose?
I think the world as it is perfect once we go back to the original blueprint, which is based on the celebration of uniqueness and the celebration of diversity and the celebration of um, creativity by exercising our inner gifts. This is a operating system that is based on diversity. It's the celebration of diversity. While many other operating systems out there, they're basically, everybody look the same, everybody do the same. Here this is an amazing experience because each of us is an individual, and in his individuality is unique. There is no one that is exactly like the other. There's no one. Everybody are completely different. It's very much like if I sometimes I use this example. If I take a cup, right, and I let it crash into the floor, this cup goes into millions of pieces. Some are big, some are small, some are little dust, some goes very, very far, some stay in the impact zone. But they are all. There is no one piece of the cup that is identical to another one. And the beautiful thing is that no matter how big they are or how small they are all equally important for the recreation of the cup. So that is beautiful because it takes away the idea of hierarchy. It takes away the fear of actually increase the celebration of differences and of difference in size, in color, in shapes, in form, in everything. It's a celebration. And once all the pieces come back from their journey, now the cup is much more vibrant, is much more alive, is much more enlightened.
Yeah, and the only way to create the cup is for us each to become the peace that we are by listening to our heart.
Yes, and that is a given in the normal, in the original operating system. It's been altered with the inverted matrix, and so everybody now, by listening to the ego and the outside programming, now everybody struggles to celebrate who they are, and they all play the part of being small and insignificant.
Mm.
Or superior. That's the other side, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what is this inverted matrix? You also talk about it like a mirror, and it's almost
No,
like we can't see reality. It's
well,
distorted.
yes, about 10,000 years ago, we as a collective have been proposed to alter this game, this hologram, to alter the operating system in order to make the experience of polarity more intense. And we, in a way, you can say maybe in a little bit naive way, but we accept this alteration. And so we have been put in this matrix bubble where everything is inverted. So what is true is false, what is false is true. If you notice out there, everything is inverted. I mean, you go to the doctor, it does exactly the opposite of what is is the truth, right? I'm talking about the traditional doctor, not the holistic one, of course. But even the education, it's all inverted. So what is false is true. What is true is false out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes the game much, much more difficult.
Yeah. I remember my mom saying to me when I was quite young, because she went through a really difficult situation, she would say, what seems is not, and is not seems. And it's so hard to tell the difference
Yeah, exactly.
between, yeah. And so you get judged and, on what people see or what they think they see when it's not even the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and that makes the journey in a way fascinating and very, very challenging. So, and yet, despite that inverted data, we still manage to connect with love. We still manage to connect with joy, maybe in small doses, but we still are able to reach those high frequencies. And that tells a lot about humanity, how powerful we are.
Yeah. And well, your book really brings this higher frequency to the planet, and listening to it is incredible. And I feel that is what is the most important thing right now, is to stay in a higher frequency out of fear. What's the first step to do that, Marco? To pull yourself out of that, fear-based model?
Well, the first is to acknowledge the fear. And then the most important thing is to step into a level of appreciation. So whatever is causing fear is basically giving us a sign that there is something in us that is not organic, is not operating from an organic way. And so fear in many ways is a friend, very much like the pain can be considered a friend for the body, because if we wouldn't feel any pain, we would die, because we would not be aware that something is wrong in our body. We will continue to walk until we collapse, right? But we have pain. Pain tells us, what? Careful, there is something, some part of your body that is not working. You need to check it out. And so the same is fear. Fear is your emotions, your thoughts, your believing system is going towards the direction that is that needs to be rectified in order for you to go back in track, right? So the fear, when we feel fear, paradoxically, we should even get excited because we get a chance to identify a program, and with this identification, we sometimes just the recognition of the program is enough for the program to dissipate. And sometimes it takes a little bit more work. But if we identify the program and we step into appreciation because the program has given us an experience, and that experience was extremely valuable, because now we know better, we feel better, we resonate better, we discern better. So as soon we recognize what this fear is bringing to our attention, if we have the level of consciousness that allow us to step into appreciation, then the fear will be gone instantly, because it cannot hold those kind of frequencies. The appreciation is probably the highest frequency we can tap into. Is even more than gratitude, because gratitude is still within the polarity game, while appreciation is above. So in fact, I would say that a difference between an ordinary person walking on the street and a Jesus is just a different level of appreciation. That's the only difference.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. And even in a diagnosis that is difficult to pull out of fear, and see appreciation for what we're all, you may be going through.
Yeah.
Would be incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm. To take the poor me out of the experience and the fear and go into a thankfulness and a learning and a strengthening of the soul.
Yeah, that is the major number one contract that we program where we inherit the idea of victim, and because what is demanding, what is the request from life right now is that we step fully into responsibility, and that means to let go completely at the idea of victim, which is very deeply inherent in our system right now. I mean, I walk on the street and I hear all people complain and constantly sponsoring stories of he did that to me, I'm hurt because that, this victim story needs to be let go if we want to continue the journey into what is awaiting for us.
Yeah, and to raise our vibration. And you even talk about going into neutrality, like not playing this victim as the first step.
Yes, neutrality is the key. Neutrality is the key to pass through the polarity into a state of oneness. And that's the most exciting challenge we have right now, because right now, a lot of, as my previous record says, unfolding secrets, a lot of unfolding secrets are coming to surface. The occult is coming to surface, and it carries with itself some quite intense narrative about what we are doing in this planet. And it gets quite intense and quite dark. I mean, very dark sometimes. And so that's the biggest challenge for us, to maintain a level of neutrality, and understand and see the perfection in everything, and understand that everything is a role playing. No matter how dark it is, it's still a role playing that is orchestrated for us to have an experience. From the soul point of view, the whole Earth experience is a blink of the eye.
A blink, yeah.
Just like a blink in time, which we understand time in this dimension, but in other dimensions, there isn't such a thing as time.
Right, and it's all what I already said that in a past interview. What really was the key for me to navigate through the journey, particularly in the early days when I was a child, it was this natural way for me to lay down at night after a long day, a short day, whatever, after a day. And before I close my eyes with my head on the pillow and go to and fall asleep, I would revisit the entire day, and I would go through all the. I would see all the actors of the day, the good, the bad, and the evil, uh, and I would see them outside from the role playing as one, as love, and I would see everybody hugging each other and becoming one. And with that vision, I would fall asleep. And in that way, I would reset myself fresh for the day after. So I would go back to my day, the day after, without carry with me, the heaviness of the past day. And that was for me the key way to constantly reset my operating system.
That's incredible. And also to keep yourself from separating, because if you just laid in your bed and thought of the resentments of certain actions and whatever, we separate when we feel disappointed.
Exactly. Yes. So I would feel the pain, I would feel the separation, but I would feel at the same time a tremendous amount of love, to the point that often I would cry. And then what I would do, I would go remembering those feelings, the beautiful orgasmic feeling of oneness and love. I would go at the piano trying to recreate that so that I could make other people feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I remember in your story, you talk about the feeling of abandonment, which is, brutal and painful, but then the compassion that came when you recognized that, when you remembered or recognized that everyone was one.
Yes, absolutely. The abandonment, all these emotions were amazingly beautiful, because we all lived all these emotions. We all feel them, but then we have the choice: either we embrace them creatively, or we shut down and we follow the curriculum, right? So I would deal with sadness, and I would say, okay, what can I do with sadness? This is such an amazing. I would love sadness. I wouldn't feel uncomfortable. I would just fully embrace sadness, full embrace abandonment. I would go for the emotion, and then I would express it through music, and that would lead me to the next emotion, um, and the desire to do something about it. I feel this sad. I see all these people that are. I can feel the pain. Okay, what are we going to do with it? What can I do? That was the most positive outcome of feeling sadness, of feeling abandoned, of feeling sorrow. It was this desire to take action and do something, and be operative and be supportive, right? And in fact, the emotion of sadness led me to the desire to search. That's why the third track is called Searching Hearts, because the sadness, that incredible, beautiful sadness, um, uh, triggered in me the desire to search for the truth, so that I can do something about it. And so I went deeper into search, and then the search uh, grow into a recognition of how beautiful it is to be human, how beautiful is this planet. um, and that's where that recognition took me to slowly understand unfolding secrets. That's the other tracks. After Searching Heart, there is the recognition of beauty, which is the song Soave, and then after that there is the the unfoldment of all the occult. where you start to see, where you start to see what really is the truth, even if it's inverted. And then after that, there is the song Life at the Mirror, because now the mirror start to reflect and more correct images of who you are. So you start to see who you really are. You understand that everybody are one. So that's the process that I went through in my life.
Beautiful. Yes.
I just, what does it feel like, Marco, when you finally experience that we are all one, that we're all one and we're all infinite and we're all, originating from love?
It's a breathtaking, orgasmic sense of love, and it's a deep, profound level of appreciation for being alive, for existing, and is the desire to is the recognition in everyone that we are all one. There is no separation. There is no more separation in that moment. So that's the feeling of oneness. Well, eventually the feeling of oneness will grow to the point where we go back to source. But when you go back to source, there is a celebration, of course, but then nothing is really going on much, nothing is happening at that point, because there is no more form, there is no shapes, there is not adventure, there is only one breath. And so once you go back to source, it's like paradise is not so interesting after a while. Okay. Imagine, I don't know, many people visualize paradise like clouds, or somebody visualize the typical beach, with the beautiful sun. It's beautiful for a week, for a month, maybe for 2 months, but after a while, you say, okay, what's next? Let's do something about it, And I guess that's how source creates, because the source is everything that exists. And when you are everything that exists, there is nothing. There's only white and the one breath. There is nothing. So from that nothingness, source creates life in order to experience itself, in order to have an experience. So each of us, for example, in this planet, every time we move forward our journey, and we create something, a source has experienced an orgasmic feeling of feeling even more alive, more vibrant, because again, it's like if you are everything, you cannot have any experience. The only way to have an experience is to fragment yourself, is to create something outside of you so that you can experience that. If you are everything that exists, there is no spaciousness for experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Incredible. So we need to stop feeling sorry for ourselves and tune into this feeling of appreciation for why we're here.
Well, to feel sorry for yourself also is an experience. And for many, it's a valid experience. You see, the soul doesn't judge right and wrong. The soul operates through resonance and dissonance. It says, okay, that's an interesting experience. That's not so interesting. Okay, so let's go for this one. But it never tells you that is bad or that is good. That's the ego.
Yeah.
So it might be for a soul interesting to feel sorry, to experience this idea of feeling sorry for myself. That's an interesting experience. Let's dwell with that for a little bit. Let's see how it feels.
I like your idea of feeling. I mean, we have patients that want to go on antidepressants. But the result is that you don't feel, and how to get that across, that the feeling and the pain are as important to growth as anything.
Yes, it is, for as long as you need that experience. because then some people are also addicted to again feeling sorry for themselves, feeling they make all their disease a good way not to take responsibility. They get comfort because they get a lot of attention. They get a lot of they have some payoff, but they don't want to let go. And so although they say that they want to cure themselves, you will see that they actually do everything not to sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you get out of that? If it's like a small, it is like an addiction because you're getting attention and you're getting filled up by something, but it's not it's not from yourself.
Well, it's a disempowering feeling too, because you don't have to take responsibility for,
Yeah.
living your fullest life, perhaps.
Mm.
Well, some soul decided that they want to incarnate in this life and they want to go deep into the bottom and then come up. That's the experience they've chosen, and so that's what they will do.
Deep into the
bottom of
bottom.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, we talk about it like the spiral, because you can go deep into the tightest part of the spiral in order to come
Yes.
back up.
Yeah, some of the people will decide to become zombies and allow the artificial intelligence to take completely over. That's also an experience. So there is that possibility,
Yeah, and so that would shut down. It would somewhat, like, it is an experience, but it would shut down the soul. But to remain connected to the earth and to our hearts is the other side of that. Could you talk about that?
How to remain connected with the earth.
Yeah, and why it's so important.
Well, why? Because it's fun. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's an amazing experience. Once we are back to our full operating system with all the DNA operating and with the pineal gland open and with all the chakra, everything is functioning, it's going to be an amazing journey. We have the same power of the prime creator of this operating system. In fact, we are fundamentally all prime creators. It's like you are a prime creator over there creating something. I'm a prime creator here creating something, and I look at you and say, that's interesting. What are you doing there? Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, can I try it? And then I jump into your operating system and see how it feels, But fundamentally, we are all prime creators because we are all unique, like the cup. When you crush it, we are all unique, and there is not a superiority or inferiority. That's an agenda that has been installed into the inverted matrix, where there is this God that you have to earn your living, you have to deserve, you're a sinner. These are all stories, interesting stories that give us a very colorful experience, but they are stories that don't have anything to do with the original way of life.
Yeah, and to let go of that is so freeing.
Yes, and it's beautiful to experience. You see, also the experience of feeling free can be really experienced when you haven't been free for a while.
Right.
Because if you've always been free, and I tell you, oh, you're so free, you don't even understand what I'm saying because you don't know anything else. But once you experience a lack of freedom, then you can appreciate freedom like you couldn't before. So that's what is going to happen to us. We have been lacking so much freedom and so many other things that now we are regaining. And so our level of appreciation is going to skyrocket. It's going to be like nobody else, because we experience the lack of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We have experienced it so much in the last few months.
Oh yeah, I think the next few months is going to be even more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And even after you've had no food, or you've been very hungry with very little for a period of time, you so appreciate the good taste and the
Exactly.
right food.
Yes.
So Marco, just tell us a bit about your viewpoint on the fifth dimension and this lack of polarity or duality, and maybe where we're headed.
Yeah, I don't. Although sometimes I use the word fifth dimension, three dimension, I don't focus on that. I just see on a moment by moment how to progress. Um, but I anticipate. I know. There is a knowing that we are about to enter a level of consciousness that will take our breath away in so many ways. But that is important that I use the word knowing, because there is a difference between hoping or having faith, which are still, again, in the polarity game, because when you hope for something, there is still a subtle powerlessness where you're not fully in charge. So your hope that the outside circumstances will get better. You have faith that it will get better. And that's okay. But once you step into a knowing, so you know, now you are completely in your power. And so with knowing, the polarity game cannot really do much with that. Once you know, the polarity game cannot trick you, while with faith, with hope, can still manipulate the situation, because you are still saying, hey, I hope that things will get better, you know and so you're still looking outside circumstances, hoping that outside circumstances get better so that you can feel better. But once you know, you are position yourself in a sovereignty, in a full sovereignty, where I say, I know that it's going to be better, or that it is better already now. Once you address the experience with the knowing, then in a way you can let go of the drama, and you stop taking everything seriously, because you don't feel that your happiness, your joy depends from something else. It's all based on your vibration, or what you choose to vibrate with.
And when you talk about it in this knowing, I feel a connection to my heart. It's like,
Yeah.
Which is part of it.
Yes. The heart is where the soul resides. So the heart is it's our soul. Our soul is who we really are. We with the ego program, we are constantly thinking, and in those thoughts, there is no possibility that we have access to the soul. But no matter how much we think, between one thought and another one, there is always a space, and in that space, there is our soul. So we need to stretch those thinking so that we can go and connect with ourselves more and more.
And follow our true path if we're listening.
Yeah, basically following, positioning that's what it has to happen in the next few years. We need to, the ego is now getting more and more destabilized. It's getting more frantic because the matrix outside, the inverted matrix, is collapsing. So the ego is not getting any input anymore from outside. And so it's literally going crazy. is falling apart. And within the next few years, the ego will collapse completely, and so we will reconnect. We will have a chance to put the heart, which is the soul, at the driver's seat, which is how it was before. Before, we would follow. The operating system would be made basically of the intelligence of the soul, the intelligence of the body, and the intelligence of the gut feeling, the intestine, the intelligence of the gut feelings, which is basically connected with the human collective experience, while the intelligence of the body is connected with the intelligence of Mother Earth, and the intelligence of the soul is connected with Source, directly with Source. So we have this amazing three intelligences that are operating, and they are incredibly powerful, and they all go in the same direction, while the ego is trying to do everything to push us towards the opposite direction. So now, as we progress in the next few years, we will have less and less and less ego, and we will be able to listen more and more the intelligences of our operating system, and we will start to flourish. We'll start to become more and more vibrant.
Yeah.
Amen.
Wow. And the way to that is by connecting to our heart, which connects to Source. And
yeah, the way is to follow our joy, to follow our imagination, and then to deprogram ourselves, to feel those fears, what they have to say to us, and to deprogram whatever programming they are carrying with themselves.
Yeah. Well, Marco, your music really allows us to remember what you're saying, and I encourage everyone to listen to it. It's incredible. And one final question. You talk about dolphins and, our connection to dolphins. And when you mentioned joy, I thought we'd talk about that for a minute.
Well, in my perception, the reason why I call the dolphins and the whales to the last chapter of the book, which is the celebration, the moment of celebration, is because dolphins and whale are the essence of Source. In my perception, they are the essence of celebration, of knowledge, of wisdom, of fun, of joy, of creativity. And so it really felt good to close this book with this scene where I see this basically this white boat floating into the blue of the Caribbean Ocean. And then there is the melody of the dolphin song that it's basically a call for the dolphins, and then we see from the horizon the dolphins coming towards us, and until in great number, they start to surround the boat. And in that celebration, we see and recognize all the actors that have been acting through our life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They all come together and they all reveal themselves for what they are, just a beautiful soul that they've been acting in order to give us a beautiful show. Pretty much like what happened when you go to the theater. At the end of the show, the curtain open again and everybody are clapping, and all the actors are holding hands and they are bowing in front of the crowd, and they hug each other and celebrating the beautiful show they have created. So that is how I see. I see often the ending of this journey, and then of course the ending. The celebration is just a quick moment, because as the book finished, it says, "Okay, what's next now? What is the next adventure?" Because the joy is in the journey, not in the destination.
In the creation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see what's next for you, Marco. So exciting. Marco, how do people find you? And we'll put the link to this beautiful book. up in the description, but just tell us how they can find you and a little bit more.
Yes, I have a website. It's called soundsofoneness.com, soundsofoneness.com, and that's where they can find the music. And also they can connect with me via email at info@soundsofoneness.com.
And to connect to this book, is it up on the internet or is it
Yes,
in
it's on Sounds of Oneness. They will see the icon of the book. They click on it, and then there is an opening of the page, the landing page of the product, and that's where they can listen to the music. They can see videos. They can read about it, and if they want to, they can also buy it.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
It's a beautiful journey. I encourage everyone to listen to The Journey of the Soul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. And to everyone out there, I want to remind you, don't give away your power to anyone else.
Just go be you.